We're back with Bob Dove, CEO and President of Hawaii Employers Mutual Insurance Company, HEMIC. Could you tell us more about the process of developing the company from one employee to the hundreds that you have now, and then also expanding the market?
Well, first, I don't want to leave the impression we have hundreds of employees. We have 75. But the process was it was very different than our experience in Texas. In Texas, when the Texas Fund was formed, there was virtually no insurance market. And so as a result, and it's a very large market anyway, and as a result, the company grew so quickly. The first year, they wrote $200 million in premiums. Second year, they wrote $400 million. The third year, they wrote $600 million in premiums. And so there, the management exercise was one of throwing people and money at problems and just trying to keep everything together. And it was a very challenging process, but it was executed well. But it was a chaotic spend money, get people, get it done. We came to Hawaii, and it was just the opposite. We were, by the time the legislation passed, and which enabled HEMIC to be formed, we'd gone into what was called a soft market cycle. There was a return to the marketplace by a lot of insurance companies. And so we had very slow, very orderly growth. The difference was, though, in Texas, when you had this really frenetic growth experience, the legislature had also given us $300 million to start with. And so you had a financial base. In Hawaii, they gave us absolutely nothing. They said, start a company with no money, borrow what you can, and good luck. And so there we had to take a very different management approach. But in a very short period of time, we had to choose systems. We had to start having people. We had to do rate filings. We had to do form filings. There was a lot to be done, but it was in a much more orderly environment. We also had to be much more conservative in the way we did things because we didn't have any money. If you have $300 million, you can afford to make a financial mistake here and there. When you have no money, technically you're insolvent the day you open the doors because you're spending money before you're making any money. It's a very different management experience.
What's going through your mind when you first come here to a place you've never been before? Culture is totally different, and you have only one employee and you have to get all your money together and everything else. What are you thinking?
Well, I never had any doubts that we could get it done. I think that was the first and the most important thing if you're starting a business or if you're starting a venture or really anything you do. You ought to have confidence that you can do the job. The second thing I believe is extraordinarily important, that you surround yourself with good people. And if you bring in the right people, they can fill in all the chinks you have in your armor and all the gaps, because nobody can be all things to all people. I was told that in Hawaii I would not be able to hire a qualified staff. And that was not a reflection on the people of Hawaii. There were certainly qualified people here. But what that meant is these are established insurance companies that you're competing against. There's relatively few of them. They have established staffs. You are not going to get the senior vice president of underwriting to come to a startup when they've got a secure job already with a First Insurance or an AIG or an Island or any of the other established companies in Hawaii. And that turned out to be true from the standpoint that we could not hire the senior vice president of underwriting. But what we did get is we got people that were maybe second or third in that chain of command, people who were maybe a little inexperienced, but ambitious, and were willing to accept change, were willing to find a different way and a better way. And so we from the beginning had a very energetic group of people. And that's extraordinarily important.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned for more on Greater Good Radio.